What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. A few months ago, I came out with a YouTube video talking about the most underappreciated and underrated roller coaster elements. These were talking about certain moments on a roller coaster, but what if we talked about underrated roller coasters as a whole? As an enthusiast, it's really cool to agree with a lot of people on certain opinions. Steel Vengeance is my number one, Fury 325 is a kick butt ride, and Maverick is extremely forceful. But then I ride roller coasters that I think are phenomenal, but other people think are just good or okay at the very most. And I really don't get it. And today I wanted to share 10 of these roller coasters with you. These are 10 of the many roller coasters I got off of and was shocked to know that it was an unpopular opinion that I like the coasters this much. And I really think that all of these coasters don't get talked about as much. This is Cedar Flags, and today I will be counting down the top 10 most underrated roller coasters I've ever been on. Now, I don't really think that this list goes in particular order from spot to spot, but I would say 10 through 5 are slightly less underrated than 5 through 2, and then the number 1 spot is easily the most underrated coaster I've ridden by an absolute long shot. So let's get right into the number 10 spot. My number 10 are the Vekoma Boomerangs, more specifically the ones with the vest restraints by Vekoma. Now, I have not ridden any of the other Vekoma Boomerangs that have different restraints, but many people even complain about the Vekoma Boomerangs with any restraints. People think they're repetitive, people think they're bad, and in fact, some people will put it in the worst coasters they've ever ridden just because of how repetitive they are. But I have to say, I genuinely enjoy these rides, and I look forward to riding a new one every single time I go to a park. Even though I've ridden many of these, I still can't get enough of the feeling of going down into the station, going into that tight cobra roll, going into an extremely forceful loop, and then doing the whole thing in reverse. And I am so excited to ride my next set of boomerangs. Coming in at the number 9 spot is Blue Streak at Cedar Point. Blue Streak is a very famous wooden roller coaster, because of course it is at Cedar Point, but no one really talks about how good the layout really is. When people think of a good classic airtime machine at Cedar Point, they usually point to Magnum XL200, but I think this ride is far better than Magnum. I absolutely love the ejector airtime moments on this ride, especially in the front row. You really do fly out of your seat on some really good days. That with the smooth and well taken care of layout, this is a great gem at the roller coaster capital of the world. Number 8 is at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It is Wild Eagle. Now, it is the GP's favorite ride at the park, but it is one of my favorites as well. It is my favorite looping roller coaster in the park, over, of course, Tennessee Tornado and Mystery Mine. Now, why do I like Wild Eagle so much? Well, first off, its beautiful setting over the hills of Dollywood. It's over everything. Though it's not wing over, that is a great first drop looking over Dollywood, and the inversions by themselves are extremely intense, and while giving a good view, provide some very good positive and negative G-forces, including some good hang time, especially that corkscrew. Man, that corkscrew really does catch you by surprise, because you don't see these on other B&M wings. I've gotten the pleasure to ride all of the 4 B&M wings in the United States, and I have to say this is my second favorite, and I'm actually debating on it being better than Gatekeeper. I do like this a lot more than X-Flight, and yes, I like it more than Thunderbird at Holiday World. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Thunder Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Now, like I said about Blue Streak, this ride is very similar, but I think the airtime is just a lot more stronger. I remember getting my first ever ride on this thing, and being extremely surprised. The airtime after the first turn, after the first drop, is truly incredible, and honestly makes you feel like you're on an RMC. The Camelbacks do give strong ejector, as opposed to other rides that are compared to it often, like Hurler at Carowinds that doesn't give any airtime at all, and is a pretty boring and rough layout. Well, this ride, it's very well maintained when it comes to smoothness, and is a non-stop experience from start to finish. Up next, we have Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Man, what a ride. This is actually my favorite ride in the park, even though Montu delivers one heck of an experience. Now, why do I love this ride so much? A lot of people consider it a family coaster, but I have to disagree. It has some very intense airtime-like moments, and just because it doesn't have the same forces as Maverick, doesn't mean it's a family coaster. Anyways, besides the incredible intensity I found on this ride, I have to say, I absolutely love the ride experience as a whole. It truly feels like an adventure, like you're a cheetah going out into the safari. It's long and split into 3 different action-packed moments. The ride almost feels like it's an eternity, and honestly, I would consider it the steel version of the Beast at Kings Island, with all the reasons I mentioned before, plus an incredible night ride, which is my favorite night ride out of any coaster I've ever been on. In the middle of the pack of 10, we have Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. Now, why do I love Fahrenheit so much? In my opinion, it honestly feels like an Intamin Blitz. If the first half of Maverick had a lift hill on it and that was the whole ride, it would be Fahrenheit. From the insane ejector airtime you get on the first drop, to the inversions that will make you gray out, to the finale which is low to the ground and gives some great pacing, I really don't get why this ride isn't talked about more. It's everything a coaster enthusiast wants. Great inversion collection, great positive and negative G moments, and some of the best pacing on any roller coaster I've ever been on. I would put it over many B&M loopers, including Raptor at Cedar Point, Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa, and many, many more. The number 4 spot is going to go to Skyrocket at Kennywood. Kennywood is my home park, and I've ridden Skyrocket a good few times, and I love this ride more and more each time I ride it. Just like Fahrenheit, this ride has some great positive G moments, some great airtime moments as well, especially on the top hat and the mid-course brake run, and some pretty good pacing in the first half of the ride. Now, the ride definitely does die out in the second half, but let me tell you why I think it's underrated. First off, that top hat. No matter what row you're sitting in, you are going to be flown out of your seat not once, but twice. And if you're sitting in the back row, the airtime off of the mid-course brake run is my favorite airtime moment in the entire park. This ride also gives a few moments of great hang time and some great low to the ground transitions. Definitely something to check out at Kennywood, even though it may not be as good as the Hyper Duo. Taking home the bronze medal is Holiday World's very own Raven. Now, when I went to Holiday World, I got to ride some great wooden roller coasters. Though Legend was closed, I got to ride Voyage and Raven. And when I got off of Voyage, I felt like there was something missing from what people have said. I find that ride extremely overrated from what I've experienced. But when I got on Raven, it was like the exact opposite. More negative reviews, but very, very underrated. I was truly surprised on how the airtime moments pop, especially if you're sitting in the back row. The sharp drops with the amazing terrain give a pretty fun ride experience. This is my favorite wooden coaster in the state of Indiana, and rightfully so for its incredible ejector, very nice wooden setting, and unpredictable layout. Taking the silver medal is another old school wooden roller coaster. We are going to Knoebels to talk about Twister, my favorite coaster in the park. When I first rode Phoenix, I loved it, and when I rode Twister, I liked it slightly more than I did Phoenix. And why is that? Well, Phoenix gives some of the best ejector airtime in the world. Twister has the full variety of a classic wooden roller coaster. It gives off everything you would want in such a ride. First off, we gotta talk about that beautiful airtime. Well, nowhere near as good as Phoenix because that is Phoenix's only focus. You do get some pretty sharp moments similar to Raven on the drops. When it comes to positive Gs for a wooden coaster, man, the positive Gs really do rock on this thing, especially in the second half. And when it comes to laterals, well, this ride is the king of laterals. You have a double helix, many other tight turns that don't have a lot of banking, and some pretty weird twisty airtime hills at the end. Plus, you have a beautiful setting in the woods and tunnels, and a very long duration. What else could you ask for in a traditional Woody? Coming in at the number 1 spot, we have the one and the only Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Man, this ride is criminally underrated, and probably for a few reasons. One, Storm Chaser's in the same park, and though I do think Storm Chaser's a little better, I think Lightning Run could definitely be in the running, pun intended, to beat Storm Chaser. This ride is bonkers and balls to the walls from the beginning of the ride to the end. I remember riding it for the first time and just thinking to myself, why don't people talk about this that much? This ride isn't great, it's world class, and honestly, one of the best roller coasters in the world. I might even say top 25 in the world. The airtime on this thing is incredible, and very reminiscent of RMC. You can easily tell that the airtime moments on this ride were designed by the one and only Alan Schilke. The camelback after the first drop is one of my favorite airtime moments ever, and the fast pacing along with the incredible negative G moments is truly a prevalent roller coaster. The finale is one of the best, and one of my favorite roller coaster finales of all time. This ride has a great spot in my top 10, and I like it more than some rides like Fury 325 at Carowinds, lightning rod at Dollywood, and over 90% of all the coasters I've ridden. So, have you ridden any of these coasters? Let me know what you thought of all of these. What are some underrated coasters that you have ridden? Anyways, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.